Donald Trump is going to be airlifted to Walter Reed Medical Center. That is the hospital that he was getting a checkup in just a few months ago. And what we're learning is that Donald Trump, yes, has tested positive for coronavirus. So has First Lady Melania Trump. When this news broke last night, the condition was described as mild symptoms. But it appears that the situation is getting a little more serious. CNN is reporting that Donald Trump's symptoms are now moderate, or at least considered moderate. He does in fact have a fever. And if you look at footage from the White House as we speak right now, you will see a military helicopter right in front of the White House. And it's meant to airlift Trump from the White House to the hospital, where the administration has claimed he will be working out of for the next several days. We haven't heard anything from Trump regarding his coronavirus treatment or condition since last night. Last night was when he shared that he did in fact test positive and that he and First Lady Melania Trump will begin their quarantine. But other than that, we really haven't received much transparent information from the White House. Ben, I wanted to get your thoughts on this story so far before I give the audience some more details.
Yeah, this is, of course, obviously major breaking news. The thing about it is it's hard to decide and determine or decipher what's actually true coming out of the White House, because at first they said he was asymptomatic, and then they said it was moderate, then they said he had a slight fever, and then they said he has a high fever. And so now with them taking him via Marine One to the Walter Reed, it seems as though it is probably far more significant than they're really ready to tell us. But we're just keeping an eye on it like you're saying, and I'm trying my very best to speak about this in terms of just the facts versus everything else that surrounds a person like Donald Trump, who's responsible for so many people dying of COVID-19, now contracting it himself.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand what you're saying. More than 200,000 Americans have died from this virus. The United States, one of the most wealthy countries in the world, has been uniquely terrible in keeping its citizens safe from the spread of this virus. Donald Trump has engaged in a very intentional misinformation, disinformation campaign in regard to this pandemic, and hundreds of thousands of people have died, and many of those people could have easily survived or prevented themselves from even getting the virus if Donald Trump didn't pressure states to open their schools and their businesses prematurely, if he encouraged people to wear masks, if he actually took this pandemic seriously, as he did during his taped interviews with Bob Woodward, where he acknowledged the severity of the virus, but said that he was intentionally downplaying the virus to the public. And so I totally understand the urge to get political right away. In fact, I welcome it because I think that it's important to talk about the seriousness of his missteps and the fact that he has consistently put his political aspirations, his political agenda, and his financial interests above the well-being of the very people who he is supposed to be keeping safe and governing. And so without further ado, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder of what we heard from Donald Trump throughout this pandemic and how incredibly damaging it's been to this country.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus, you know that, right? Coronavirus. They're politicizing it. We did one of the great jobs. You say, how's President Trump doing? They go, oh, not good, not good. It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear. And this is their new hoax.
Hydroxychloroquine?
I'm taking it, hydroxychloroquine.
When?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, when?
A couple of weeks ago, I started taking it. Because I think it's good. I've heard a lot of good stories. And if it's not good, I'll tell you right, I'm not gonna get hurt by it when it dies out. And it is dying out. The numbers are starting to get very good. When you do testing to that extent, you're gonna find more people, you're gonna find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please. It's gonna go away, it's gonna go away. You know, in some states, thousands of people, nobody young, below the age of 18, like nobody. It affects Virtually nobody. It's an amazing thing. It will go away. You know it is going away.
The president admitted to Woodward in audio obtained by the Washington Post that he deliberately misled the country about the danger.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you,
sure, I want you to.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
It's going to go away, hopefully at the end of the month, and if not, it hopefully will be soon after that.
When you said you asked your people to slow down testing, were you just kidding, or do you have a plan to slow down testing?
I don't kid. Let me just tell you. Let me make it clear.
We're saying things like, I think it's a problem that's going to go away within a couple of days.
It will go away. Your second question was? I couldn't hear you. Can you take it off because I cannot hear you?
I'll just speak louder, sir.
Oh, okay, good. You want to be politically correct. Go ahead.
No, sir, I just want to wear the mask.
Go ahead. It's going to leave. It's going to be gone. This is going to go away without a vaccine.
When they hear you say everything's under control, don't worry about wearing masks, I mean, these are people, many of them are older people,
What's
Mr. President.
What's your definition of control? Yeah. Under the
it's giving them a false sense of security.
Now, I think it's under control. I'll tell you what.
How? 1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is.
It is what it is. And Ben, as you know, during the first presidential debate that just happened this week, Donald Trump took time during that debate to mock Joe Biden and his willingness to consistently wear a mask when he's out in public.
Yeah, and it is that behavior, the politicization of wearing a mask, right? And forcing people back into public, encouraging Big Ten football to start back up. It's one thing to try to open up schools, but you've also politicized wearing a mask. So you've created the exact conditions necessary for 205,000 Americans plus to die from COVID-19. And to that extent, I think the narrators or the writers of 2020 have hit this one on the head. This seems to be apropos for a president who has been this reckless in the endangerment of American people.
And with regard to that debate, there was some news by Chris Wallace just today during an interview with Fox News. Chris Wallace made it clear that Donald Trump arrived to Cleveland too late to get tested prior to that debate. And when it comes to testing, why don't we hear what Donald Trump had to say?
You have to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to, but I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. Well, look, Joe Biden did get tested, so did Joe Biden's wife, and fortunately, neither one of them have tested positive for coronavirus. But I should note that there was some suspicion that Donald Trump would test positive for coronavirus following word that one of his closest aides, Hope Hicks, had tested positive. She was aboard Air Force One along with Donald Trump and a number of other Trump administration officials as they were headed to a fundraiser. And so it doesn't surprise me. I mean, this is the perfect scenario under which someone would contract the virus. It wouldn't surprise me that Donald Trump would contract it if he's on Air Force One with Hope Hicks. She tests positive. None of them wear masks. In fact, today, after news breaks, you see Trump administration officials gathering together without wearing masks. Mark Meadows does a press conference, his chief of staff, he's not wearing a mask. And so it's just nonstop, it doesn't end, nonstop irresponsible behavior that not only risks their lives. It's one thing if they're private citizens and they decide they don't want to take this seriously. It's a completely different situation when you're talking about Trump administration officials, Donald Trump himself, people who unfortunately look to them for their leadership and use them as an example. If they don't take the virus seriously, if they don't wear masks, it doesn't surprise me that their supporters don't wear masks. Trump has held indoor rallies during the pandemic where wearing a mask isn't even encouraged. So these are things to think about as we move forward in discussing this story and the condition of Donald Trump. No one wants to say that they want people, they don't want to wish bad things upon people, right? But at the same time, there needs to be some responsibility by this administration. We've seen none of it, 0% of it.
Yeah, Anna, it's so egregious, the fact how much they just don't care and how much they have totally devolved into a full-blown death cult. The fact that they still don't wear a mask and they're still mocking it and they're still putting people in danger. I mean, the people I'm genuinely concerned about are the support staff members, the members of the Secret Service who have to protect them, the staff of Air Force One, the White House staff, the butlers, the maids, the cooks, the chefs, everyone who has been exposed by their recklessness and because of their casual disregard for human life, and because they know, Anna, they know that them wearing a mask protects everybody else, not protects them, so they have no regard for it whatsoever.
Right. And for all the right wingers on social media who think that this is a perfect opportunity to point to the left as heartless and egregious in their commentary in regard to Donald Trump's symptoms, I just want to remind you all that they have absolutely no leg to stand on. To try to take the upper hand in terms of morality is laughable, especially when this is a group of people who have celebrated extrajudicial killings on our streets by law enforcement, who have celebrated a 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse shooting and killing 2 protesters in cold blood, and who have no problem with tweets like the one I'm about to read from Donald Trump in 2014 when the Ebola outbreak was happening. Luckily, that outbreak didn't impact the United States. Trump had tweeted this: President Obama has a personal responsibility to visit and embrace all people in the US who contract Ebola, essentially encouraging the thought of our president contracting a lethal disease. I mean, he said it, that's what he said. And that was totally fine with them. But in this case, we all have to share faux thoughts and prayers so we're good people. Yeah, if the right wing thinks I'm a bad person for holding Trump accountable for how he's handled this virus, have at it. I'd rather be considered a bad person by them than be part of this ridiculous group of people on mainstream media right now who are, sharing their faux thoughts and prayers.
Right, and that's all it is. It's extremely fake, especially because just 2 weeks ago, these people celebrated to the top of their lungs the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And so I'm sorry, people who have no mercy get none from me.
And one final note about what the White House is doing in response to this news. You would think that if the First Lady and the President have contracted this virus, well, maybe then they would take it a little more seriously. But no, the Associated Press is reporting that an official says masks will still not be mandatory at the White House, even after the President tested positive for the virus. The official described facial coverings as a personal choice, despite overwhelming evidence that they help stop the virus. Yeah, okay, personal choice, have at it.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.